Welcome back. Today we're discussing how to fix lower back pain with the squat movement. So when we're talking about programs to solve lower back pain, we want this squat movement to be part of the solution. We don't want it to be part of the problem. If you'll remember, this is one of those foundational movements that's used to train movement patterns to protect your joints and build strength to protect your lower back. But there are some things that can happen that can actually contribute to low back pain. So we want to address those to make sure that we're not having that opposite effect of aggravating your low back when we're doing this squat movement. So the first three are pretty easy and things that you probably already know but maybe aren't doing. And so this is meant to be your reminder to get back to doing these things. First one is a proper warm-up. You need to prepare your body for the work that it's about to do, especially if you're going to be doing any sort of heavier squats. And so a good warm-up for a squat is going to be, again, gentle movement through the lower back and mobilizations of the hips are the two really important areas to focus on. The other is to get your nervous system fired up. So you want to make sure that that nervous system's fired up to get all of the muscles that protect your low back engaged so that when you do throw weight onto your squat, that everything is ready to go. You've got that motor recruitment in your core to protect your low back during the squat movement. So really make sure that you're doing a proper warm-up before you do any sort of squatting. Number two, make sure that you're building up the weight. So this is especially true if you're working up to heavier squats. You don't want to start with the weight that you'll be working at. You want to slowly build up with lighter weights until you get to that working weight. This is going to ensure that the movement looks good. Get your central nervous system fired up again. Again, make sure all of our deeper core stabilizers are engaged and that we're able to perform this movement in a way that's, again, protecting our low back. So again, make sure that you build up. And the third thing is remember that it's okay to take off weight if you're experiencing back pain when you're squatting. So again, mainly true if you're doing heavier squats, but we should always think of it's not how much weight we can lift with a squat movement, it's how much weight we can lift safely. And if you're experiencing pain when you're squatting, that's not lifting safely. And so it's okay to just drop the weight until you're comfortable at a lighter weight and then go from there. So those are three things, again, kind of common sense stuff that you probably know, but maybe aren't doing. So that's your reminder. If you're having back pain with squatting, make sure you're doing those three things. Now, if you've been doing that and still having some back pain when you're squatting, these are two more just kind of body movement functional things to give a try. And one, it's going to be your stance, and two, it's going to be your depth. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the importance of these. Let's talk about your stance first. So your squat stance is really, really important to get down, especially if you're having lower back pain. And I'll kind of show you why. So again, a lot of people when they're learning the squat, the traditional way that I was taught when I was squatting, especially back in high school, is that your toes pointed forward, hip width apart. Now, when I do that, it's just not very comfortable and I can't sink down very low. So I'll include another video about how to find your squat stance, but from a lot of trial and error, I know that my squat stance is a little bit on the narrower side with my toes pretty far pointed out. And so you can see what happens is if I do my toes pointed forward squat stance, I get stuck right about here. And so the compensation is if I try to sink lower, what happens is I kind of dump forward like this. And now if I have any sort of weight on my low back, that is immediately going to put pressure on my low back. And so watch what happens when I do the stance that's good for my body. A little bit narrower, toes pointed out. Again, I can sink lower, and honestly, it just feels more comfortable. So again, I could sit here with some weight on my back, and I'm not worried about my lower back kind of dropping down, putting a lot of stress on your lower back there. So that's why it's really important that you find the squat stance that's going to be best for you. I do have some resources on that, which I'll link in the comments down there. Now, the second thing that you should watch out for is your depth. So people that are really flexible can really sink pretty low into that squat movement. But what can happen is if we sink too low is that your pelvis starts to tuck backwards. And that's called the butt wink. You might have heard that. And really that's just an unstable position for the spine. And so we need to be careful, especially if we have weight on our back. So here, I'll demonstrate it, is that I can get to right about here. This is pretty comfortable for me, but watch what happens when I get lower. Ugh. I can sink my hips lower, but you see how my lower back starts to tuck under me? It causes, again, just a flexed and unstable position of the spine, which if you do a lot of reps can cause pain, or if you have a lot of weight on your back can also cause pain. So it's really important that you watch your depth. If you are having some low back pain while you're squatting, just limit your depth. Just stop a little bit higher than you normally would and come back up. And what you'll notice is the more you try it, the more mobile you're gonna get and the lower you're gonna be able to sink before that butt wink starts to occur. All right, well that is all I got for you. So again, 5 things you can do to fix lower back pain with squatting. My name again is Dr. Carl Baird. This is Solving Pain with Strength. Thank you so much for watching and look forward to connecting. Thanks so much.